Hey guys, welcome to the first installment of our CrossFit 613 Monday training tip. What we're going to be doing going forward, every other Monday we're going to pick an exercise and we're going to break it down a little bit, go through some of the common errors that we see, and then give you some tips on how to correct those errors. So the first one we're going to do to kick things off is going to go through our kettlebell swing. So we do kettlebell swings fairly regularly here at CrossFit 613, but there are a couple common errors that we tend to see that are made both by beginners and more advanced individuals as well. So we're going to kick things off and go through the lower body first, and then we're going to move to the upper body. So first thing you tend to see when we do the swing from the lower body is bringing the kettlebell down too far on the backswing. What we want to see ideally is keeping the kettlebell up above the knee. So I'm going to demonstrate for you the difference in that position. When I go too far down below my knee, this is going to put a lot more strain on the lower back, right? You can just kind of see from that position, when I start bringing the kettlebell down that far, it puts some more stress specifically on our low back. So if you're someone who tends to feel kettlebell swings in your back more than, say, your butt or your hamstrings, or all three of those together, then you might be bringing the kettlebell down too far. So I'll show you what that's going to look like. Ideal position is going to be above the knee. So that's going to keep your torso, your upper body in a more upright position, and by really focusing on driving the hips back, we're going to get more recruitment from our hamstrings, the back of our legs, and also our butt, so that's working together with our back, and it's not specifically just focusing on the lower back. So that's what we tend to see with the lower body. Upper body tends to actually be a little bit more issues. There are two types of kettlebell swings that are commonly done. That's the Russian kettlebell swing and the American kettlebell swing. So a Russian kettlebell swing typically brings the bell around eye level, and the American swing actually takes the bell up overhead. So when you're thinking about, which one should I be doing, it's really going to be more dependent on your technique and your mobility. So I'm going to demonstrate both of those for you, so you can see the difference. The Russian swing and the American swing. Typically, beginners are going to work the Russian swing to just develop that power through the hips. What can happen if you try to move too early to an American style swing and you haven't developed enough power through that hip extension? We're going to compensate by trying to pull the kettlebell up with our shoulders. And so I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. If you don't have the hip extension power to get the bell all the way up overhead with your arms just following that momentum, it's going to force you to bend your arms and use your delts, and you'll notice that the bell is actually facing down as opposed to facing straight ahead. So if that looks familiar to you, then the recommendation would be to drop the weight a little bit so that you can get up overhead, and as you start to develop more power through your hips, then you can move to the American style swing with heavier weights later on. Okay, the other error that we tend to see, and this is probably the most prevalent one when you're trying to go overhead, is just a lack of mobility in your shoulders, specifically our ability to flex our shoulders. So in the end position of an American swing, your arms are pretty much straight over your head. So a good test, you can do this at home just to see how your shoulder mobility is going to look for this exercise. You want to be able to see your bicep past your ear standing in a pretty straight line. So if you're not able to do that, then you're not quite ready to do an American style swing. You're going to compensate by either arching your low back or by really bending your arms. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. Okay, so you can see in those positions, I'm bending my arms because my shoulders won't allow me to go in a straight arm position, or I'm compensating by getting the bell over my head, but now I'm arching my back. And we don't want to do that. That's going to put some undue strain on your lower back. We also don't want to bend the arms excessively because that can make your shoulders a little bit cranky. So I'm not going to get into all of the mobility drills that you can work on to correct that. If that does look familiar to you, by all means, we can give you some help with mobility drills to help get that overhead position. Okay guys, so that's it for today. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.